Your willingness to listen to those excuses is what's keeping you from what God has planned for you. Yeah. You wanting to listen, you wanting to communicate, you wanting to be empathetic. You doing all of that in response to him strictly giving you excuses as to why he's going to continue giving you bottom tier, bare minimum effort. That's what's keeping you from your blessing. I say this for the woman that's watching this and wondering why not me? When it's going to be my turn? When am I finally going to get what's designed for me? And I say this with love, but the truth is, you're never going to get it as long as you continue entertaining his excuses. Let's just forget the fact that you know deep down he's full of it. The guy that you're dealing with, the guy that won't commit, the guy that won't do right, the guy that won't show maximum effort, the guy that's just a ball of unrealized potential. Let's just forget the fact that you know deep down, come on now, this ain't it. But the fact that you keep even entertaining it, giving it access to you, giving it energy, subconsciously you're wanting it to be true. Like at some point, the perception or the belief that this could be has to pan out. And I'm not saying that that won't ever happen. I'm saying it won't happen with the guy who's only giving you excuses. If you are entertaining a man's repetitive excuses, you are repetitively blocking your blessing. Can I keep it real with y'all? Because it's not going to be a fun message. I'm going to just tell you right now. Because there's many times that a guy will project onto you his reasons for being insecure, and he'll give you every excuse in the book, but it's wrapped around things that you did wrong. Well, only reason why I can't commit, only reason why I don't want to get married, only reason why is because when I do this, because I just feel like you, and he keeps putting it on you. Whole time, those are just excuses. Don't think excuses come packaged as, well, the reason why I did this is because. That's the traditional excuse. Today's men, modern day men, they giving excuses that are like pigs in a blanket. The blanket is the excuse, but inside of it is just blaming you, projecting onto you. BS, deflection, gaslighting, hyper criticizing you. And what they're doing is they're leveraging the modern day woman's desire for accountability, because that's what a lot of y'all are working on. Hold on, let me not act like I'm perfect. I know sometimes I'm the problem. That's what modern day women are on. Any man who says otherwise is full of it. Now, I'm not saying every modern day woman executes this perfectly, but we know the messaging in relationships and dating has a lot to do with women not taking accountability. That's the recurring theme. A lot of guys will leverage that and then wrap around the reasoning for what they're doing or what they're not doing correctly that they should, and wrap that around really just blaming you and trying to guilt trip you and shame you. And so the longer that you entertain this, the longer that you even hear this out, these excuses. Look, I'm not saying men got to be perfect. Men don't make mistakes, anything like that. But when you see a man who's not even willing to be self-aware, to be accountable, to look in the mirror and say, no, I am the problem. I'm the problem. It's not because my daddy didn't show up for me when I was playing basketball. It ain't because, mama them, she was whooping me too hard and, she had a drinking problem. It ain't because, well, these days there's so many girls and I just can't stay away from them. It ain't because, well, I'm a busy man. It ain't because, well, you ain't perfect neither. When a guy started giving you all of them excuses, I want you to start looking at it like literally, like it's a blockade, like the Great Wall of China. And on the other side of that wall is everything God got for you, but it can't get through. You taking time to even listen to those excuses. Am I matter of fact, if I'm making sense to you, if you're a person that's listening to me say this, and what I'm saying is making sense, because I know when I start saying that the excuses are taking on different form and things like that, it can kind of lose some people. And I was telling somebody this recently after my last masterclass: the 7 traps as an empath you must never ignore. And she had the same question. And I knew, deep down, I knew why what I was saying wasn't getting across to her. As I'm telling her this, like, hey, he's making excuses. Yeah, but I'm not perfect. Yeah, but he's making excuses. It's not to say you're not wrong or you couldn't show up a bit better than what you've shown up, or that you're perfect or you're flawless. I'm not saying that. But when a man looks for any and every single fault in you, so he can now link it back to his free will and his decision making that he made on his own willpower, and how that was messed up. But it really started with you, because you, and take accountability, ladies. Women don't like to take accountability. It's an excuse for what he did. You can both acknowledge that somebody did something that should have been better and could have been better, while not blurring the line of what you had the full free will to do better than what you did. And I'm saying this as a man who is admittedly imperfect to this day and has been much more imperfect in certain areas of relationships. No matter how bad my partner ever showed up, there was no gun held to my head whenever I made the decisions that I made. Y'all know I don't come to you as no perfect, I got it all together, always had it all together. And I just come to you as your big brother. There's certain things that I do know, and I know for a fact. And that's that if a man did it, it's because he chose to do it. If he didn't want to do it, he would have never done it. If he did it, he wanted to do it at that time. Could it still be a mistake? Sure. If you want to call it a mistake, fine. But when we do hurtful things, it is a decision we made in full conscious awareness. Even if we got inebriated before we did it, we chose to get inebriated. That ain't our first time getting drunk, high, whatever excuse that he gave you. It ain't our first time. Even if we were really upset, it wasn't our first time being angry or upset. We knew exactly what we had the proclivity to do before we did that thing. We considered the consequence. I'm just keeping it real with you. I don't need, I say all of that when I say, I'm your big brother, because I don't care about the pedestal. I care about my sisters being equipped to make the decision that's going to protect their hearts. And there's so many men out here. There's so many men out here who will not protect your heart. You got to protect your heart, sis. It's on you. Until you get to that man who's going to take up that mantle and prove that he's worthy of protecting your heart, it's on you. This ain't about, I don't want this to get convoluted. The young lady that even inspired this conversation, she did get a little upset with me, and I understand. My heart still goes out to her because I understand that as a woman, especially if you're an empath, that's just not your default thinking. Your default thinking is, I was wrong. Somehow I didn't do this right. But there's a very thin line between that and I'm not even worthy of somebody who's going to do right by me. I'm not even worthy of better than the response that he gave me. Said response, should I say. I'm not better than him talking to me any kind of way. I'm not better than him playing in my face. I'm not better than him lying because last time he told me the truth, I didn't handle it perfectly. I did take the wrong tone. I did look in his phone when I was suspicious of him. Y'all don't really want me to get to talking that truth about looking in a man's phone. But I'm going to do it anyway. If you look in a man's phone and you find something, it was justified. If you look in a man's phone and you find something, it was justified. It was valid. Now, if you look at that man's phone and there's nothing there, at that point, you got to take what come with that. You were wrong. Or at least because you didn't find nothing, you don't have a leg to stand on. But if you look in a man's phone and you find something, you didn't violate his privacy and his trust. He was first being untrustworthy. It triggered your intuition. And then you made an executive decision based on the fact that if he's already being untrustworthy, there's no way I can come to him straight up and ask this question and get the truth. And then you found something, guess what? You were right. You were right. Now, if you just running up in this guy's phone, one, you don't find nothing. Two, he has communicated with you, giving you complete honesty, and you still went up in this. That's a whole different story. I'm never going to tell you that you're right when you're wrong. I'm never going to do that now. But again, back to the whole point of he's making excuses. A lot of y'all get with a dude, and all of the stuff that he do wrong, he already got a litany of things, a laundry list of things. He getting ready to connect back to what you did. And it's all an excuse for what he did. I'm just keeping it real with you. And just entertaining those excuses will block you from receiving what God has for you. It will block you in several ways. First thing is it trains you to entertain this nonsense. It develops more tolerance for this type of nonsense. And because, or if, should I say, if you're the type of woman that once you give yourself to a man, you want to give your all. You don't have step the love thing. You go all in or none at all. Because that's the case with you, those who I'm talking to, there's no way for a good man to get in. Here's the thing I think men need to understand about women. And I've come to understand this over the last couple of years myself. Even if a good man is trying to get the attention of your woman, a real one, an evolved man, a man with more money than you, a bigger penis than you possibly, like, you know what I'm saying? You've been giving your girl this subpar penis, and she got this dude that done plenty times had a little print showing in the sweatpants or the dress pants. If you got a good woman, she still ain't gonna entertain it. He could be a good man. I'm not talking about a scrub, somebody, a bum, Y'all be thinking like, oh, well, you know, any guy out there, he can't compete with me. And that's why she's so fake. If you got a real one, bro, like she'll turn down dudes who honestly present themselves to be a much better situation than you. Much better. She won't even give them the friend zone. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. When a woman is all in, if she's an empath, then she's a good woman. Let me be very clear. When you got that kind of woman, bro, she ain't turning down just dudes she don't want. She turning down dudes she might otherwise want, but she ain't even giving them the time of day. She ain't even giving them an opening. It is a blur. They are in a blur. And you don't think that a woman is blocking these dudes or blurring these dudes out, ignoring these guys until you become the guy that she's ignoring. If I'm speaking facts, let me know I'm speaking facts. If I'm speaking fiction, y'all tell me if I'm speaking fiction. And this one thing we don't understand about a good woman, and additionally even an empath, because they've been done so wrong, they can never even fathom doing you wrong like that. Even if there's a potential of upgrading from you or anything like that. So anyway, when a woman entertains the excuses of a man over and over and over again, and she's like that, she's cut like that, she's not open to potential upgrades while she's in any relationship of any quality. The relationship could be bad. She still ain't entertaining nobody else. That's taking up that seat, sis. That's the way that you end up blocking the love that God has for you. Another way that entertaining his excuses or eventually just blocking your love, it's lowering your vibration. Just like I said before, in order to even listen and stomach the nonsense that should otherwise make you puke, you have to now lower your vibration to be more receptive to it. You have to lower your vibration. You have to lower, because here's the thing, when your internal dialogue, when the way that you see yourself is so sky high, you won't even, your skin will crawl with somebody who sees you as less than that. It'll crawl. You won't be able to be close to them. It's like some of y'all that are in any kind of work or whatever environment, if you got somebody that comes in and they're creepy or whatever, you likely stay so far away from them so you never have to feel that energy, because as a woman, you're intuitive. They don't have to actually say anything to you, engage with you directly for you to feel their energy. And so if you're in a situation or if they're being mean and they're condescending, you start planning your exit. You cannot stomach this. If you know you're a competent, intelligent, hardworking woman and somebody come talking to you like you just a little menial, the help, or you know that you got everything easy and it's a manager or something like that, oh, you start thinking, I'm about to get up out of here, because it conflicts with how you see yourself. As Tony Robbins put it, the single most defining characteristic of the human personality is for us to remain consistent with who we think we are. That's the absolute driving force of how we make decisions and how we receive things. We have to be consistent with who we think we are. That's the reason why everything that I say at the core of it is hopefully building up your self-image, man or woman. I have a different tone with men because as a man, I know what resonates with us. And sometimes I have to get the indignation going in you in order for you to spur into action and be better. But the same thing goes. The same concept applies. Your self-image is what needs to improve, man or woman, if you're in any situation. So as a woman, the longer that you tolerate this man giving you excuses, things that you know aren't true, the lower your self-image is coming, so that the battle, the turmoil, eventually comes to an end. And therefore, this guy is able to additionally overstay his welcome and therefore block your blessing. Another way that his excuses are blocking your love is that in a fight to try and not negate all the other good things about him, because you don't want to be black and white, you don't want to ignore what he's doing, his sacrifices, etc., you're going to end up redefining love, and it's going to distort your perception of love. And now let's say, even though this distorted perception of love has already taken place, you end up leaving because some deal breaker happened and you knew that ain't supposed to happen, you will have a hard time receiving actual love when it comes your way. His excuses, his character has at this point now manipulated you at a subconscious level in terms of what is real love. And so when real love actually comes, you won't even know how to receive it. You won't know how to receive affection. You won't know how to receive protection. You won't know how to receive it. It'll feel foreign to you. And now there is a way to get acclimated to that. And hey, I've never been loved correctly before. I want to get on board though. There's a way. But that transition, that space can absolutely cause too much friction for a man to overcome with you, depending on how deep in you got. If you listen to a man's excuses for 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, whether y'all was in a relationship or out of a relationship, more than likely, you're in a situation where love has been distorted. That's where you get with a good man, but you still got trust issues because it feels too good to be true. You're receiving love, but you don't know how to receive that. You can't even be at peace with that. He says, hey, I'm on my way home. I'll be home in 15 minutes. Now he get home whatever time he get home, say it's 2 minutes late, and you already saying, hold on, wait. Disregard the fact that he even communicated with you and so on and so forth. You won't know how to receive just a flawed, because the moment you'll be looking, your mind, your heart will be scanning for what's the catch. And so it'll either find one or it'll create one, all due to the fact that you stayed way too long in a situation that long since didn't deserve you. And so I want you guys to understand something, because one of the big, matter of fact, let's just go and talk about it. Like some of you, I watched the Love is Blind most recent season with Clay and AD. And I saw a lot of people calling dude a narcissist. Now, I'm a little late watching it. I actually just got finished watching it less than an hour ago. But something I want us to do, as opposed to just watching content and diagnosing somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, I know that's all the new rage, is to look a little bit deeper. Because for those of you who don't know, you didn't watch this, matter of fact, put I down in the chat if you watched this and you even know what I'm talking about here. Clay essentially got to the, matter of fact, spoiler alert, okay? Spoiler alert, tune off of this if you have not watched this, okay? Gave you a chance, because I hate when people ruin stuff for me. Clay rejected AD at the altar after the last couple of weeks or whatever of just loving her, meeting her family, all these different things. He was hinting at a lack of confidence in being ready to be a husband. And then ultimately, even though he got all the way to the altar, he said no. Now, here are my thoughts in a nutshell on that. Because what a guy will do also is he will give you excuses, and it's not necessarily because he has it out for you or he's malicious. It's because he's convinced himself of this excuse. With Clay, I don't think he's a bad person. I really don't. I don't think he's a bad person at all. But at some point in his past, he got convinced that he wasn't good enough. And so from there, he came into the situation with a woman who was everything he ever wanted, or at least that's what he said. And he gave her, again, to be consistent with who we think we are as the single most defining characteristic of the human personality. He gave her exactly that. Now, later on in hindsight, from what I understand, Clay was like, man, I made a mistake. So again, I'm a narcissist and bashing him. I didn't understand that. I really didn't. I'm not here to do no TV review or nothing like that. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. I didn't see no narcissist. But what I did see was an unprepared man. And he was unprepared. Well, in his season of not being prepared, he identified and he adopted an identity and habits that lacked confidence, or at least that stripped him of his confidence, in order to go forward in a situation with a woman such as a lot of you that are watching, wondering why this guy won't commit, wondering why this guy won't move forward. A lot of times, a guy knows his identity, or he has a belief in his identity, and it conflicts with the type of man that you deserve. I know that's not what some people want to hear, because it was apparently this hate train. I don't watch a lot of TV, but this one right here was relevant, so I watched it. There's a hate train for this guy. And what am I giving you? Am I giving you reasons to be palatable to excuses? No. If anything, you should understand more than ever, if a man is telling you something, oh, this is the reason why, stop looking at ways that you and all your greatness can fix it or overcome it. Now, in that situation, I believe they can work. If he's willing to do the work that he said he's been doing, they're going to be just fine. My hat's off to Clay, because I feel like he was really honest, vulnerable, and so on and so forth. But here's the thing I need y'all to understand. Whether a man is a malicious, malevolent, overt narcissist, or he is a man who is working on himself, trying to be better, but he's not there yet, both men can create the exact same damage on you if you give them unearned access to your heart. Both men can hurt you, traumatize you. Need y'all to understand that. Why do I say that? Because so many times as a woman, you and your intuition, you're going to see, even though this guy did this or is doing that, I see his heart. And I'm not mad at that. But if you see his heart, you now have to move accordingly. If you see his heart and it's not yet ready to match with yours, move accordingly. Keep him at a safe distance. Do what you got to do. Stay safe. Okay. Now, if you're not wanting to wipe your hands with him because you see that his heart is good but not ready, that's fine. But don't listen to his excuses, combine it with his heart's intentions, and then ignore the reality of what's about to happen to your heart if you give it to him. Am I making sense to anybody? Am I making any sense? I see a lot of y'all not fond of Clay as well, and that's fine. Y'all know I'm a big bro. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. I'm not here to just, because here's the thing with any guy, and this is strictly on the excuse of I'm not ready yet. Well, I'm not ready yet. This is something I don't think we talk enough about, and this is the situation I feel like Clay is in. And I've been there myself before. Walking according to his desire and then walking straight into his reality. So it's first, I want this, I want that, but the reality is he's only ever prepared for this. And so what you'll get with a man like that is if you go strictly off of his expressed desire and evidence of his desire and not assessing what has he prepared for though? What does he have proof of concept for? Ain't no man perfect, but what does he have proof of? Is he ready for this? I know he wants this, but is he ready for this? Because if he's not ready, your character, your value will not override that. It will not override that reality. And so again, this whole thing ain't really about Clay. I'm just speaking to the whole because everybody was saying, oh, he's just not ready to commit. And he said that he wasn't ready to commit. But at the end, right, it was after all of this stuff got invested. The truth is, there are Clays out here in different form. And I actually, again, respect that dude. I think he was a decent guy. He's being honest. And he learned the hard way, so did she, that he wasn't ready. I don't think he was a bad guy. Y'all may hate me for that. Put me on the cross and burn me. I get it. But that's what I feel. But it does not change the fact that he wasn't ready. And in not being ready, he had the same impact on AD that a person who had it out for her, wanted to play in her face and embarrass her, he had the exact same damage on her. Now, the only difference is over time, there's a completely different potential for the two of them. If things are kept at a safe distance, if they get help, that's a completely different thing, though. Because what you'll have with guys who don't want to commit and they give you all of those excuses, you'll also have guys who simply have not overcome their own personal traumas. And they give you the excuse of, I'm not ready for a relationship yet. I can't commit yet. I can't. Again, we're not looking at intentions. I really want y'all to unlearn this whole, he has good intentions. He has a good heart. Good ain't good enough. Is it a prepared heart? Is the good heart that he has in the chest of a man with integrity, or that's ready and developed and disciplined enough to protect your heart if you give it to him? Damn, if you got a good heart, that's nice. But you're not doing a heart transplant. You're trying to be in a romantic relationship. Great if he has a heart. That's good. That's okay. But was it good enough to develop what you need in order to function in a healthy relationship with him? So all of this is really speaking to emotional intelligence of not necessarily going, because the blanket statement, y'all know how it is. Oh, I'm triggered. He's a narc. I'm triggered. They're a narc. Let's go deeper. Because if you stay there, you're going to look at good and bad, and you're going to come across a good guy who has a bad effect on you. A guy that's undeniably good, but then he damages you. I know, like, oh, what? Yeah, we're going to go a little bit deeper. Even good guys can be horrible for you if it's at the wrong time in their development for what you're trying to build with them. Am I making sense to anybody? This ain't about Clay no more, by the way. And just so I'm clear, I respect Clay. He had such transparency. He was a great communicator. He did not make all the right decisions, but he was 100% accountable about that. Didn't blame nobody else that I saw. I got to watch the rest of the reunion. I'm like halfway through it. So I'll tell you how to deal with that later. Right now, if a man is not ready or he's giving you an excuse for not giving you what exactly he promised or what exactly you set your heart up to receive, I need you to stop looking at his intentions and his good heart and look at the facts of the matter. Is he ready or is he not? dang, if I want to go to the NBA because I just love basketball and I've always been a big Kobe fan and LeBron fan and my heart is good. You know what I'm saying? Like I really appreciate the game. I just study the game. Yeah, but have I prepared? Have I done the amount of years to become a great basketball player? No. So what's going to happen if somebody relying on me to go out there in a championship game? They're about to get disappointed. They're about to lose it all. Lose a whole lot of people about to lose money. We about to embarrass the team. The same thing goes for even a good man who's giving you excuses, because that's all it is. The only reason why I'm that harsh with it is because as a man, the only way I've grown through the different levels of even myself that were deplorable was to take absolute accountability. What I want my sisters to leave this conversation with is, if there's not absolute accountability, it's absolute BS. It is a no-go. A man who cannot take absolute 100% accountability is not growing. He can't. You know how they say the first step to getting help or fixing the problem is to admit that you got one? How are you going to admit a problem that you can't even acknowledge you got? 100%. Any level of deflecting and blaming somebody else and saying, well, the problem ain't all on me, that is not full accountability. And let me go a step further. Verbal accountability ain't even enough. This is where I don't know how Clay is truly showing up and what he's doing. So this ain't about Clay, okay? Let's separate that. But when a man is able to say, well, I was wrong, it was me, but then his actions do not align with it being all on him and all, like he just 100% knows the work is on him to do. Verbal accountability got to align with what his nonverbal accountability should be saying as well. Verbal accountability, just like an apology, don't mean nothing without changed behavior. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Because again, I'm getting harsh and it's an excuse, because if you stop just at the verbal aspect, where the conviction really wasn't in your heart. So you were verbally accounting for something that you didn't authentically put on you and on your shoulders. And I'm not saying it's like I'm on some pedestal. I'm still growing, but the things I've had to outgrow, all the lying and living outside of integrity with myself, devaluing my own word, the only way I was able to grow out of that is to really look at, honestly, it was ugly, but look it in the eye and say, man, there's no way out of that. That is horrible. It's unacceptable and it's strictly on me. Don't matter what childhood I had. Don't matter what things transpired in the relationship before that point. I have to take full accountability, 100%, blaming nobody else, and back that up with action to be a better man. That's the only way I've grown. If you're dealing with a man who's giving you excuses, giving you lip service, giving you word salads, deflecting, finding things that you did, trying to cancel out what he did wrong with something that you did wrong or you might do wrong one day, that man is not taking accountability. That man is not growing. So you got two choices. You could either say, hey, what I'm seeing is what I'm going to get, and accept it, or leave. Those are the only two choices. If you're dealing with a man who's not taking accountability. Oh, well, he said his money ain't right. Well, is he accounting for developing better skills? Is he accounting for going out and finding a better job? Is he saying like, oh, I can't commit because my money ain't right? Or is he saying, I want to commit at the right time, and this is what I'm doing about it? My commitment to you is in the work you can see right here, right now, every single day. So not committing don't look like, oh, you can't hold me accountable to move this forward towards a commitment. Like you can hold me accountable for this. This is how much, this is what I'm doing about it. This is how many resumes I'm submitting. This is how much mentorship I'm getting. This is what businesses I'm starting. This is the EIN I just created. All of that, any excuses. I'm telling you, there's if anything other than I'm fully responsible, hold me accountable tangibly, and I'll show you better than I can tell you that I mean what I say. Anything else is an excuse. This doesn't mean be unforgiving. I know what I'm saying sounds so harsh. It sounds harsh. I want to keep it real with you, because some people like to tickle your ears with ways that you should forgive a man. And so I'm all for it. Hey, I still fall short of the glory of God. Even, I do. But one thing about it is God don't even forgive you unless you're repentant. The God don't even forgive you unless your heart is right. Like straight up. You ain't even got to be religious to know that. And I ain't God. I ain't even that good at forgiving. But as a woman, If you are dealing with a guy and, oh, I can't be committed because of this, and I can't do you better because of that, and my toe hurt today, and that's why I couldn't massage you like you've been massaging me every day for the last couple of months, and now I can't even do nothing. I give you a 3-minute massage, and now I want to have sex, or I get so frustrated I just want to stop. Oh, I can't help you around the house. I'm so tired from work, and I just felt like, I don't know how y'all still be getting wet for these dudes that's giving nothing but excuses. I don't understand it. That's where my limitation and all of my competence on the subject of interpersonal relationships really does find its limit. I don't know how y'all still even get excited about having sex or doing things to a man, and all he do is give you excuses why he can't reciprocate just the effort that you're putting in. So you can acknowledge, y'all got to understand, there's a difference between explanation and justification. If you ever having a conversation with a man and he's giving you an explanation behind how he's thinking in terms of his decision making, that's one thing. But if you're having a conversation with a man and he's saying, this is my mindset behind it, and therefore it's right, or therefore you shouldn't be so harsh, or therefore you should decrease my consequences, you're dealing with a BSer. He maybe have already BS'd himself, so he's honestly genuinely thinking he's telling you the truth. He's a BSer, and he ain't gonna do nothing but waste your time. If I'm speaking facts, let me know I'm speaking facts. If I'm lying, tell me I'm lying. I don't mind. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Because what I've seen, especially for those that have come through my programs and use my strategies, where I go way more in depth than what I could ever do here on social media, those women who harness the power of walking away from a man that didn't deserve them, they gain self-respect, they restore their self-esteem. They open themselves up for opportunities, both in relationship and outside of relationship. They fix, they heal their distorted perception of love that they inherited from that man who mishandled them. And if they're in a relationship with a man or get in a relationship with a man who does mean them well, but he ever shows up as a lesser version of themselves, the tolerance they once had for those excuses has now been extinguished, and it's been replaced with standards that are firm, boundaries that are firm and unmoving. And it keeps that man accountable to be the best version of himself. This is something they don't like to tell y'all. Even good men have off moments. But are you dealing with a man who made a mistake, or are you dealing with a man who was a mistake to even deal with to begin with? That's the question you got to ask yourself. So if he's giving you excuses, but you have the right heart posture about his excuses, a good man, an evolved man, is going to, oh, wait. You know what? I'm slipping. You're right. I effed up. And shows you verbally and non-verbally he can take accountability, you good. And it's all going to come from you first having a heart posture of, I'll accept nothing less than your absolute best. And some of y'all are so afraid of that because you're dealing with dudes who only want a woman who's willing to settle for less than their best. Damn the fact that a lot of times they best ain't even good enough. I'm gonna stay off that though. Because the way I get bashed for telling this truth, I already know they're gonna be like, I'm probably about 150 messages in right now just as I had this conversation, but I'm gonna tell this truth anyway. You gotta maintain the right heart posture even with a good man. That's part of how you maximize everything in a man's life. You know, I grew up in the church like a lot of y'all. I still believe in God. First off, I believe and trust in God. I read the Bible daily. And what we believe over here, not saying you got to, is that a good woman will maximize everything in a man's life. But I think people don't go deeper even with that concept. And that's that a man has to be made of certain things in order for that woman to have any impact in his life. If he isn't made of humility, if he isn't made of self-awareness, if he isn't made of accountability and self-respect, if he don't have that inside him before she even come along, there's nothing she can maximize in his life. If he doesn't already have forward momentum, growth momentum by himself, there's nothing she can come in and maximize in his life, internally or externally. She can't do nothing for him. She can't do nothing with him. He's a grown man. Even God says, I ain't going to overcome your free will. You got to choose me. You don't choose me, I can't do nothing for you. You reap what you sow. And what I'm getting at here is, even with a man who is good, there are times where you may have to stand firm, and as a part of standing firm for nothing less than his absolute best, you're then maximizing the best in him. But because he has the humility, because he's willing to be accountable, because he's willing to be a receptive to correction, because he's willing to respect your boundaries. That's a part of maximizing him. Otherwise, with a weak woman, he might be good to go down comfort lane. Whatever feels good. She's, hey, long as you stay in my life and give me somebody to say, I got somebody, I'm straight. And that's when you know a coward whenever you see him. You see a coward will play in your face and then go run right into the arms of a weaker woman who don't know how you be lying. Put amen. Give me an amen if I'm telling the truth. I ain't planning on coming on here and preaching, but give me an amen. If I'm speaking facts, give me an amen. Let me know if I'm talking to anybody, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. A coward now. A coward. Now, I don't acknowledge even good men have bad moments, bad seasons, make bad decisions. I don't acknowledge that, right? So nobody's perfect. I'm not pushing this unrealistic standard of perfection. But let me tell you something. If that man is a coward and you hold him accountable, you set the boundary, you refuse to accept excuses as to why he didn't show up the way he was supposed to, a coward will go run into the arms of a woman who will settle for that. And now, see, as a woman, if you're not using discernment and you're not using your intuition, you may think, oh, I just lost. No, not everybody that you lose is a loss. You just ridded yourself of something. That's like putting out, I don't know, mouse traps, and it catch one of them and it dies, and you say, oh my goodness, I lost a mouse. Yes, you lost something that had no business being there to begin with. It just took that, it just took that to bring it out. But at least in that situation, it wasn't like you was trying to manipulate the situation. It just happened. God always going to give you the ability to make the decision that's going to protect your heart. You get to make that decision as to whether or not you're going to heed that warning and move accordingly. And that's why I'm saying it's not always leave at the first sign of trouble or whatever. No, you need to have a heart posture that protects you, no matter if it's a good man with bad intentions or a good man with bad moves right now, bad decision making, or a bad man with bad intentions. Both of them can have the exact same impact on you if they get unearned access to your heart, even if in a moment. And let me say this, I've never seen anybody be more guilty of this than empaths. Empaths who lead with love, lead with benefit of the doubt, lead with empathy in every situation, even when a man is doing you wrong. If he just presents any hint of he's not okay, or at some point he's gone through some things and you just immediately jump into, I want to forgive. I want to have compassion for you. Those of you who are empaths, there's a target on your back. In 2024, where the rise of women who just want a man for his money is going up. I don't know if people have seen this. This is a whole space on TikTok strictly dedicated to the whole thought that a man is no good outside of his money. There are women out here who are going up like that. And with that being said, there's a higher premium on women who are empaths, who are lover girls. Now, I wouldn't have so much of a problem with this if that translated to a higher value on you as an empath or a lover girl or a woman that wants something real. Unfortunately, some guys are so doggone stubborn to be who they are no matter what. The target is more so, how can I take advantage of her? Because at minimum, those women that just want a man for their money saying, I'm going to get something out of the situation. So they say, well, how can I go and get something out of this woman, take advantage of her for free? There are traps set out for you if you are an empath. In modern day dating and relationships, some of y'all already in relationships, there are traps set out for you. And those traps, if you get caught in them, if you stay in them, if you don't know how to get out of those traps, they're going to block your blessing for the rest of your life. They're going to have you being the woman for the rest of your life saying, when is going to be my turn? Why not me? What did I do wrong? Why am I not worthy? Now, it's too much to get into those traps, the red flags of those traps, the kind of guys who set those traps, but it's cool because I already did in a free masterclass. The 7 traps an empath should never ignore. If you missed that masterclass, here's your chance to get an opportunity to see it down at the link. If you're on YouTube, or YouTube is probably at the top. If you're on Facebook, that link that you see right there, click that, register, save your spot so it doesn't come down before you have an opportunity to watch it. Because these days, women with the biggest hearts, they go through the most BS. They go through the most nonsense. Women with good hearts, they get tried the most. They get lied to the most. They get betrayed the most. They get taken for granted the most. Loyal women go through the most BS. And a lot of men ain't going to want to tell you that. Too prideful, because we know at some point in time we've been a part of the problem, myself included. But what you do as a man, being that our mantle on this earth is to be problem solvers, is no matter where you at now, you can't change the past, but you can position yourself to be a part of the solution, even if it's just acknowledging the truth so we stop normalizing hurting people who don't deserve to be hurt. But maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I'm just straight up lying in everything that I said, and nothing I said applies. Either way it goes, I'm your big brother, trying to look out for you per usual. You know, I got you. So if you got something of value from this, hit the share button so you can bless somebody else who needed to hear this message at the very moment that they heard it the same way that you did. And if you want to get access to my free masterclass, again, it's absolutely free. Free game. I got you. Click the link pinned right here down at the bottom. Also, it's probably at the top if you're on YouTube. Find the link to this masterclass, 7 Traps That Empath Must Never Ignore. About 45 minutes, I went in on how to avoid being caught up in the trap that got so many women missing out on what should be their blessing. Holla at y'all, lady. I'll be good. Peace.